For those of you watching/listening, welcome to Oxford County's first podcast. I'm sitting here with Ben Addley, the CAO of Oxford County, and I'm Marcus Ryan, the Warden. And we're trying this new format out to see if we can reach people in a different way than traditional media and try and reach a different audience with more information about Oxford County and the services we deliver. So first question, I guess, Ben, is can you tell people about what are the services that Oxford County, as opposed to other municipalities, deliver that they use?
Yeah, sure. Actually, that's an interesting question, Warden. I recently had the opportunity to speak at a community group where this was the exact discussion, distinguishing what are the different services that counties deliver versus area municipalities or even province or federal government. A lot of people don't understand what those are. So at the county level, we deliver things like human services. So income support, housing supports, rent supplements, housing development for social housing, paramedic services and ambulance, is at the county level. Long-term care is another. We deliver long-term care, 224 beds through our Woodingford Lodge that we supply to the community. Different things like roads and bridges. This is kind of where it gets confusing. We provide roads and bridges. There's overlap. There's provincial roads and bridges. There's county roads and bridges, and then there's area roads and bridges as well too. So some of the different things, community planning is one that is not well thought of, and that's really about what is the community growth going to look like, planning for that. New subdivisions, all of those things that happen as far as development through our planning department. County also provides library to most of the county, with the exception of the city of Woodstock. So the libraries out through all the different area municipalities are provided through the county. We administer provincial offenses for the province, and then also sorts of internal services to support those we provide as well too. Two of the other larger ones that we administer, garbage collection, waste collection. So we deliver that through contracted services and recycling currently. That we provide through some contracted services, but we also manage the landfill site as well too. So we work with two of our area municipalities, Southwest Oxford and the city of Woodstock, on delivery of waste collection, along with a private contractor that delivers services. And then another one is water and wastewater, our huge infrastructure and operational services that we deliver or responsible for through the county. Again, we do that both internally delivered, but also do that through provision of contracts with a couple of our area municipalities, the town of Tillsonburg and city of Woodstock as well. So those are a lot of the core services that we deliver. But in reality, you look at it, there's, over 40 different divisions that are providing different things at the county level.
As opposed to the area municipalities and the services they deliver. So for those of you watching and listening, the way Oxford County is structured is a two-tier structure. So I'm the mayor of Zora Township and deliver the area services there, but also the warden of Oxford County and responsible as the head of council for the services there. So at the area municipal level, so that would be, Zora Township, where I'm the mayor, where I live, but Woodstock, Tillsonburg, Norwich, etc. Those services are recreation, fire, police, building permits, and local roads. So almost entirely separate from Oxford County services, except as you said, with the overlap of some roads, almost entirely separate services from that. So today, for the first podcast, we've chosen the most difficult topic to start with, which is, okay, so there's all the services. How do we actually fund those services is through a budget. And we're starting budget process now at Oxford County. So Oxford County Council passes a strategic plan, which we did a year and a half-ish ago, just over a year ago. And then throughout the year, we pass all kinds of policies, and that's council telling staff, here's where we want to go. This is the map. These are all the things we want to do. How does staff then use that to prepare the draft budget that just got put in front of council last week?
Yeah, again, so I would say that strategic plan is a huge driver of the services that we deliver. It's really develops our business plans. So we start with that strategic plan and go, how are we going to deliver that? And what are we going to create for business plans? And then the budget that drives that. So it's kind of steps as we go through that. So in this year's budget, for example, we have 95 goals and objectives in our business plans that are directly reflective of delivering on the strategic plan. Now, we have 8 new initiatives that again will be things that we're starting that we haven't done before or enhancing to continue to deliver on new steps of the strategic plan. And that creates a demand, a FTE demand. So we also have 16 new FTEs.
What's FTE?
That's a full-time equivalent. So not always a one person doing a full-time job, but it's the equivalent of that in hours and work basis. So really that kind of then drives how we're going to deliver services, what our objectives are. And then the other thing I might point out is there's the internal supports that go behind that. So when you add staff, it has demands in other areas. You need more human resources staff, you need more communication staff, customer service increases. So then there's those other things that then will help to drive other areas of the budget. Again, really to support the supports of the strategic plan. So those are important to consider as we move forward with that. Some of the other things that drive our budget as well are external things such as conservation authorities. Your conservation authorities are actually supported through your municipal tax dollars at the county level as well. And some other things like court security that's provided through Woodstock as the area municipality that has the court in it. But the county also contributes to that. So those costs indirectly drive the budget as well, too.
As a levy, that means basically the Conservation Authority, for instance, or Southwestern Public Health tells us what that bill is, and we just pay that bill.
Yeah, correct. They have their own budgeting process. They have their own mandates through the province on how they establish those. But as the contributing municipality, we have to contribute to that and pay our share. Southwest Public Health is a great example. That's split between the County of Oxford, Elgin County, and the City of St. Thomas. We all share in that. Interesting. Levy, as you mentioned, is a good point. And what is levy? That gets tossed around. We've just published our budget document for 2025. It's part of the council agenda coming up this week, November 13th. And in that, you'll read things about levy and what is levy versus a tax, right? Your tax bill. So levy is actually the collection of funds through the area municipalities that goes to contribute towards funding the county budget. So it's not your tax bill. It's a portion of that tax bill. And it's only the portion that the area resident is paying to support those county services. About 25% of the funding for county services comes through the tax levy, those dollars that are collected through the area municipality. The rest are driven through provincial or federal grants, contribute to that. Rates or user fees for things, like water service or garbage collection are the other portion of that that help drive it. So not just the tax bill.
So for this coming year, 2025, we have council has the draft budget in front of us. As you said, we're going to discuss it for the first time. Council's going to discuss it on November 13th. What is the dollar impact of the draft budget that staff have put in front of council in response to council's strategic plan? What's the dollar impact on a property in Oxford County?
Yeah, so the draft budget, and as you said, that's a draft budget at this point. It has an impact of about $137 per household for the year. Per year. A little bit less if, say, you lived in Woodstock, for example, because, again, I mentioned the court security or library that's only delivered for the county. They're not going to pay that again. They pay that locally themselves. So it's a little bit cheaper, about $126 for a resident of Woodstock.
So Oxford County services, are in some ways quite complex. Water and wastewater, for instance, is very complicated in terms of, infrastructure. Housing and homelessness nowadays, certainly more complicated than it was when I was first on council in terms of mental health and addictions, and also long-term care. I mean, paramedic services, you and I have talked about that a lot, about how so far this year, paramedic services are up 10%, even on population growth, 2%. That's complicated. So, that makes for a complex budget to deliver, right? Because even if we haven't said increase services, increased demand means we have to increase resources to maintain the service level. For instance, again, paramedic services, and of course, safe roads. So, how much of a percentage increase is this on an average tax bill? On somebody's total tax bill that they get to pay for all those Oxford County services that we talked about, water, wastewater, long-term care, paramedics, how much of a percent is that on their property tax bill that they're going to pay?
So that's a tough one to answer because, again, it's not a. And maybe actually, before I answer that, one of the comments you made about those other pressures and that you're right. Those are significant drivers on the budget itself. When you have that growth that actually exceeds what the population growth or the impact of assessment, and that's part of the answer to that question about how much. So it really depends on what municipality you live in. It's anywhere, the county portion of the area municipal tax bill is anywhere from about 25 to 40%. So we're a proportion of that tax bill. So in actually calculating that out, you're only talking about what is the county portion of those area tax bills. So it is about 10% is what the draft budget is for that portion of that. And then the other things that drive that tax bill is the area municipal services that they deliver and what their budget for those are. And then as well, the other portion of that area tax bill is provincially driven for school boards and to support education systems. So again, those make up the other portion of that area tax bill. They could increase, decrease, stay the same, basically based on whatever those area budgets are.
So it's going to be different for everybody, depending where they are in Oxford County. And they won't know that total number until obviously Oxford County Council's done with our budget and whatever we do with the draft budget. But also they won't know the total bill until they get their area municipality considers their budget, and they all do that at different times. So right now, the average residential property owner on the Oxford portion of their total property tax bill is going to be $137 for the year, unless you live in Woodstock, then it's $126. So about $12 a month.
That's correct.
Okay. So, that's, to an average residential property assessed at $275,000, $275,022. So does that mean, so for anybody watching or listening to this, does that mean that their bill is going to be 3 times that because we're only one of the 3 contributors to their budget? Is their tax bill going to be 3 times that 137?
No, and again, because that dollar amount is driven by what those area budgets are and could increase proportionately more or less. Interesting that you mentioned the average $275,000. People probably look at that and go, well, whose house is the average of $275,000? So it's important to note that that's what MPAC assessment is. The Municipal Property Assessment Corporation does a review and says this is the value of all the properties in your area. That actually hasn't changed since 2016. So it's not market value. And that's what people need to understand is the market value of your house does not drive your taxes. It's actually that assessment value. And so until that assessment changes, you're compared to houses or residents that have that same impact or assessment value. So what will happen is that basically that value or that 275,000 being the average may translate to an entirely different market value house. So in reality is that 137 is based on the average house and how that's assessed currently.
Regardless of whether your house would actually cost you $275,000.
Exactly, right. Yeah, it's not necessarily the market value
currently.
It's what it was
assessed that last time we had assessment.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, okay. So Council passed a strategic plan and a whole bunch of policies and gave all that to staff. Staff then went away and said, okay, let's cost this out for council and tell them what this whole thing costs. And that's the draft budget. And now council has that draft budget. And for that matter, the public does too, because it's on the website and anybody can look up. And I always like to point out, the public can look at the entirety of the budget, everything, because people have said to me, well, I don't get to see everything that you get to see in the budget. And I always say, you absolutely do. It's all on the website. Everything that council is going to consider is on the website down to the penny. So now that we have that, we have the draft budget. What's next in this process to go from a draft budget to a budget that defines what this tax impact is going to be for residents and what services they're going to get?
Yeah, great point too on the making sure that people get informed and educated. Part of why we're doing this today, to keep people informed. Part of the informing the budget that I didn't mention earlier is, the budget survey. We went out and asked people, what kind of level of service do you want to maintain things?
To that, if I remember correctly, right?
Correct. Yeah, a higher number than we've had in previous years, and substantially told us that they wanted to at least maintain, if not improve, service levels. So public engagement is important. That following it through the entire process. Like you said, the budget package itself has been published. It goes to council for its initial presentation, the November 13th meeting. But then after that, we have 2 special budget meetings planned for council to get department by department not quite line by line, but certainly very detailed presentations from all the different service departments on November 20th and November 25th to actually see all of the budget in its entirety and really review that. Those are totally open. They're public meetings. People can come to council chambers and see it in person, or can follow through our live stream. They're all live streamed, so people can go on to our website and find the council live streams and participate in them.
They're available afterwards. They can watch it on the 14th or the 15th or whatever.
They're also, they're captured and can be viewed later on. Then really from there, it's up to council. So they'll receive all that information. They'll get the presentations from all the departments. And then on December 11th is the day that it is scheduled to come back to council for their deliberations, debate different things, and then actually make the approval for the budget itself.
So it's my job now, in other words.
Yours and nine other council members. Yeah. We put it together.
You guys did the draft budget and then handed it over to us.
Again, that does come part of the strategic plan guided it. That was information that council provided us to say, hey, this is what we would like to see. We're bringing forward proposals.
I think it's really important that residents understand that this budget is built by staff, but it's built based on policies that council said we want the budget built on. And then it comes back to council to say, is this what I really wanted? Is this what I expected? Is this how fast I want it to go? So council then is going to have the opportunity now to change this budget however they want to do it. It'll be up to each one of those 10 to say, do I like this? Do I not like it? Do I want to change it? Do I want to add something? Do I want to take something out? And it'll be up to each one of those councillors to say how they want to change this. Do they want to take some initiative and do a thing or not do a thing, prioritize it and, debate and ultimately vote on every one of those changes and decide. So for residents who want to follow along that process, again, the entire draft budget is available online. I encourage people to go and take a look at it. It is built based on, as I said, the strategic plan and policies that council passed, but also built based on the Speak Up Oxford input that we got that Ben mentioned from residents saying what service levels they want. And I would encourage residents to follow along and see what council questions are in reviewing the draft budget and what changes they want to bring forward. So the info and recordings are all available at www.oxfordcounty.ca/2025 budget. And please let us know what you think about this podcast. You can drop us a comment at www.oxfordcounty.ca/2025 budget and give us your comments on the podcast. If you like it, if you don't like it, if you hate the sound of my voice, if you want us to talk about something different in the future, if you have a question for us, let us know and we'll be happy to do it again. Again, as Ben said at the beginning, we're hoping that this is a new way to reach more Oxford County residents with more content. So let us know what you think of it and we'll do our best to deliver that content that you want to hear from Oxford County.